Ron DeSanctimonious. What does that even mean? Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. No, it's not. It gets the people going. That's true, though. Nobody knows what it means, but for some reason, the nickname is actually catching on with me. Not because I think it's really true, like I don't find Ron DeSantis to be sanctimonious, but I don't know, it is quite funny. But tonight on the Vince Dow Show, we will be talking about the fact that Ron DeSantis, as of today, is set to announce his 2024 campaign for the presidency tomorrow night on Twitter. So we'll obviously be covering that as well tomorrow night. I'll give you my thoughts on the whole situation, though, tonight. Also, Target holds an emergency meeting today to address the satanic clothing that it is selling to kids. We will be talking about that controversy and the LA Dodgers cave to anti-Catholic LGBT groups. That's all tonight on the Vince Dow Show. Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. And we are live tonight from the great state of Florida, which, by the way, did notifications go out? Because I don't know what's up with the stream tonight. It's like it had like no activity beforehand. Are we shadow banned? Chat, are we shadow banned by the live notifications? I have no idea. Let me know about that. But we are live tonight from the great state of Florida. Welcome everyone to the Vince Dow Show. I am your host, yours truly, the Galaxy Brain, Vince Dow. And before we begin, as usual, be sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe if you are new. And as usual, if you want to support the chat, you got questions or comments that you want read or answered, feel free to send that in via the super chats. I'll be checking them and reading them, obviously, as usual, throughout the night. And we're still working on the studio fund, okay? I got the first... Hold on. Never mind, I can't grab it. I was gonna grab it. We got the first few microphones, okay? So the studio fund for the Real Legit podcast is coming along smoothly. So, as usual, if you want to donate to keep supporting the construction of this podcast studio, again, super chats are open, and Streamlabs obviously pinned link there. It's all greatly appreciated. But all right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the show tonight, because it's the Hour of Dow. So, all right, let's get started. We got a lot to talk about tonight between the Ron DeSantis announcement and Pride Month starting early. You know, it's much like the rainbow flag movement to begin with. It's like expanding, right? We talk about the slippery slope. Nobody's talking about the slippery slope of Pride Month itself getting longer, because it used to just be June, right? But now it like starts in the middle of May. You see this with Ford. We talked about that last week. Now Target and the Dodgers. So we got a lot to talk about. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the news tonight. All right, well, top of the day, story of the day, Ron DeSantis is set to officially announce his campaign for president tomorrow. So it's official, guys. It's really happening. It's officially here. 2024 is underway. So yeah, Ron DeSantis is set to officially announce his campaign Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. Now, programming alert on that front. Since that is the case, we will likely be moving the start time of this show to around 6 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. We'll react to it live. I'll try to maybe bring a DeSantis supporter or a panel on or something to kind of give you the after reaction. We'll do a whole show. So just programming alert on that front. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, show is probably going to start early because of this. Now, let's talk about this, okay? So here's what's interesting about the announcement is that apparently Ron DeSantis is going to be making this announcement on an audio-only Twitter space with Elon Musk, okay? So he's going to be announcing for president, not at a big rally, not at even a mini private event, not at any type of in-person speech, right? He's announcing this via an audio-only Twitter space on the internet. That is an interesting move, to say the least. And to be honest, to be totally honest with you, I don't know if it's the best idea, okay? And don't get me wrong, I get what they're trying to go for there. I get the concept, right? Because it's creative, it's innovative, it's a little bit out of left field. You could argue it's an acknowledgement of the changing times. Hey, Vince, you're kind of being a hypocrite about that because you always say Republicans have to use social media correctly, and yet here's Ron DeSantis trying to do that. Look, I get all that, and I get the power of doing it with Elon Musk and the potential and the potential Elon Musk endorsement, whether that's sort of a direct endorsement or an indirect endorsement. But at the same time, let me tell you why I don't think this is the best idea is I don't like the precedent being set there. That we're going to take presidential announcements, which historically have been these face-to-face grand events with a crowd and all of that. At least you see the candidate while they're speaking, right? It's not just an audio telecast type of thing. And we're going to turn them into a Twitter space. That's how we're doing this, you know? To me, that comes off like something I could see a Democrat doing. It reminds me a lot of Joe Biden when he was campaigning during 2020 from the basement. I mean, we remember that, right? All those stupid virtual Biden events. And maybe I'm just because I support Trump, I'm biased, okay? I try to be as fair about this stuff as possible. But genuinely, there's something about an audio-only, like, internet announcement of a presidential campaign when Ron DeSantis certainly has the support to do an in-person rally that, frankly, just rubs me the wrong way. I don't like this idea. I don't think, to be totally honest with you, it is the best look for Ron DeSantis. Especially, right, when your campaign is already being accused of being terminally online. What does the Trump camp constantly say about DeSantis? True or not, what they often say is his only support comes from Twitter, right? He's just like this campaign of Twitter shills on the internet, and he doesn't have a lot of real life support. And then of all things you could do optically to counter that narrative. And again, I do think Ron DeSantis has real life supporters he could turn out, especially in Florida. What does he do? He's going to announce his candidacy on an audio-only thing over the internet. I don't know. Maybe I'm old school. I just don't like it. It's very Andrew Yang-y to me, right? I don't think it's very fitting, A, for a conservative, and B, for what is genuinely a serious contender for the Republican nomination. And I know what people are going to say. They're going to say, Vince, why do you really even care? Does it even necessarily matter? Who cares about optics? Who cares about the veneer of things? And you're right, perhaps it doesn't really matter whether he announces this thing in a speech or on a Twitter space, but I don't know. To me, there's just still something that is not conservative about the aesthetic of announcing your candidacy like on this virtual internet event, right? There's something about that I find to be modernist and frankly uninspiring, right? Like I said, it comes off like something that Joe Biden or Andrew Yang or like, I don't know, you know, just something a Democrat would do, right? Announce their presidency over a Zoom call. It's all like, and that's my problem with it fundamentally. And I think overall, if I were to be objective about both candidates, I think that is one of Ron DeSantis's core issues. Yes, he is good as governor, but he is not an inspiring figure, right? He's not the inspiring revolutionary movement leader that I think we need in this moment. And I know exactly what you're going to say. Vince, why does that matter? That's an emotional argument. Why does grandeur matter? Why does veneer matter? Why does anything about sort of political image? What is relevant about that? It doesn't determine policy. Perhaps that is true. That is absolutely true. But before you write what I'm saying off as completely irrational and irrelevant, I would ask you to recognize and consider where we currently are as a country. And this is my big thing about Trump versus DeSantis, right? The project to fix this country is going to take a lot more than the 4 to 8 years of the next president. Neither Trump nor DeSantis are going to completely right the ship and fix the country here during their term. We're way too deep in a hole for that, right? There's a lot of things that have to be done. It's not going to be done in the span of even a decade, right? Which is why I say, and why I do think it matters whether or not our candidate is someone inspiring that American patriots can look up to versus Mr. Twitter space guy, is that what we need then from the next Republican nominee is someone who is going to inspire a movement of hope and resistance long after him, right? And that's why I don't think it's enough for DeSantis to be this quietly effective guy who's just decent on the policy issues, right? Because 4 years or 8 years of better governance is not going to salvage the country. It's going to take a lot longer than that. And that's why we need someone much like Ronald Reagan, by the way, which, you know, you guys know I have certain criticisms of Reagan and the Reagan Revolution, some of his ideas, but we need someone like him who's going to inspire a long-lasting, right, sort of political conservative revolution in the country. It's not enough to just be the president who gets forgotten and was solid on some policies, right? We need that new generation of leadership and renewal and patriotism. And I do not look at a candidate who's like going to announce his candidacy over a Twitter space, on an audio only Twitter space, and really see that, right? There's just something about that, even if it's just an optical thing and it's not really that relevant. I don't know. There is something about it that I find so lame and uninspiring, right? I'm just not inspired. Whereas when I look at a Trump rally, or I look at him, you know, coming down the golden escalator, or just the fact that, you know, real people out there turn out in these huge crowds to go out and support him, right? There is something about that that is inspiring. And again, you can say that's stupid. Who cares about inspiration? Morale is actually a pretty important thing. When you are where we are as a movement, okay, newsflash, the country kind of sucks, right? It's not the country we grew up in. It's not the country, you know, my parents or my grandparents, whatever, grew up in. You know, things are pretty bad. Yes, we actually do need a leader of this movement who is inspiring, and I'm tired of pretending like that's not necessary. It's all about policy. It's all about policy. Really? Who's going to vote on the policy, right? Who is a part of the movement? Who is fueling the elections and the political campaigns and all of these things? It is the ordinary American patriot. And frankly, the ordinary American patriot right now is so unbelievably demoralized. And I'm not even saying necessarily that Ron DeSantis can't get the act together and maybe inspire, because I've said before, I don't think it's the end of the world if he were to be the nominee. He could pull this off. All I'm saying is I look right now at the veneer of something like a Twitter space candidacy and say, is this really the guy who, again, in our darkest hour as a country, going to stand up and like inspire the rebellion, right? Inspire a new generation of pushing back against the system, okay? And that's why I say, you know, oh, but Ron DeSantis is an effective governor. That's not all that we need in charge of the conservative movement. Yes, we do need effective governors. I don't hate Ron DeSantis. I'm not one of these, he's a neocon, show all this stuff. But, you know, in all seriousness, I can't look at something like announcing your thing on a Twitter space and say, yeah, that's what we need. That inspires me as a conservative, as a patriot, right? There's something about it that, yes, you may say that's the future of all presidential campaigns. All presidential campaigns of the future are going to be announced on Zoom calls and Twitter spaces, because we're going to hit a point in this country when nobody does anything face to face. In fact, the very concept of a campaign rally might be outdated. I understand all that. But again, what did I say? Right now, maybe that's the future. Right now, we are conservatives trying to inspire rebellion. We're trying to stand up against the modern world. We're trying to push back against it all. And I don't think that launching your campaign on this virtual event, like it's still the COVID pandemic or whatever, right, is really the answer to that. I think it's tone deaf. I don't think it's a great look. Then again, I don't know. You know, you're free to disagree. I certainly understand the counter arguments and the logic for this. And you might again say that, you know, the way I feel about this is kind of irrational and silly. But, and again, maybe I'm biased because I do favor Trump. But really, I don't think that this whole idea is my cup of tea. I'd be, you know, interested to see what you guys think about that. But there it is, as usual. As we said, tomorrow Ron DeSantis will be announcing his candidacy for president over the internet on an audio only Twitter space, and we will be covering it. Obviously, we will react to it and cover all that stuff live. But you know, there it is. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I don't think it's a good idea, and frankly, you know, seeing the way, I will say this about DeSantis too, seeing the way that the last month or so, he's made some pretty significant blunders, right? And maybe you could say that's a result of the pressure or whatever, but there's a few different things beyond this that are just not necessarily the best look for him. And I really have to ask the question, who's telling him to do this? Like, who told him that announcing your campaign over a Twitter space instead of doing an in-person rally, which again, you know, I understand if you're Andrew Yang and I understand if you're a small-time Republican who can't actually like inspire people. Ron DeSantis can turn a crowd. It's not Trump's crowd, but he can turn a crowd. I really have to question, and what also makes me ask more questions about DeSantis is, who told him that this was a good idea? Because I hear so often very valid criticisms, and they are valid, from the DeSantis crowd who say Trump does not surround himself with good personnel. And yes, I think there are some people from the first term that he's gotten rid of, but there's still a lot of people around Trump that I'm still not a fan of. You know, that's your Jason Millers, your Tim Scotts, Lindsey Grahams. You guys know how I feel about those people. But you know, the idea that the people surrounding DeSantis are so much better, so much more infallible than, you know, Trump's bad actors. I have to look at what's going on in the last month and kind of how poorly, in my opinion, from a logistical standpoint, Ron DeSantis' campaign is being run, and have to say, is the crowd around DeSantis really that good either, or much better, right? And at least about Donald Trump, we could say, well, Donald Trump is his own person, right? At the end of the day, he might get subverted a little bit, but ultimately Donald Trump's going to do what Donald Trump's going to do, whereas DeSantis, I don't know if he's that type of guy. So, you know, I don't know. If you disagree, it's perfectly fine. If you support DeSantis, you know, I'm perfectly fine with that. I do not hate Ron DeSantis. I do not hate his supporters. I do not try to like ostracize them on this channel or anything. I think we can have good faith discussions, but you know, that is how I feel. Not the biggest fan of this Twitter space announcement thing. But anyways, let me check some of these super chats here before we go into Pride Month. Let's kind of read the room on this situation. Curious to see what you guys think. Let's see. Dollar for Dollar says, thoughts on the song I'm Not Racist by Joyner Lucas. Thank you for the dollar for dollar. I have no idea what that song is. I've never heard that. Burgundy Blue for $10. Thank you very much. Says Vince, since I'm currently in the city, do you know if there's going to be any AV political events or other similar events happening near New York during the summer, like the one you spoke at 1 year ago? I'm not aware of anything specific going on. Thank you for the $10, by the way. I'm not aware of anything specific going on, but just check the NYYRC, yes, New York Young Republican Club. I mean, check them out. Check out their website. I'm sure they always have stuff going on, but I don't know of anything in particular. Thank you for the $10, Burgundy Blue. And again, if you guys want to support the studio fund for the podcast studio we are building, it's all greatly appreciated. God bless you guys in advance. Brandon Gross for $10 says, Vince, I think the internet needs to be taken down for a few hours or one day and see how the world reacts and see what people will do. I think DeSantis would benefit from that, but Trump is better. Thank you for the $10, Brandon Goose. I think outside of politics, the world would just be a better place if the internet did shut down, but it's not going to shut down, right? We have the internet. And so, but what I would say about that, thank you for the $10. It is true, right? And I've said this before. You compare the way I will talk about Trump DeSantis. I like to think I'm as fair about it as possible. I do my best. I try not to be a total hater one way or the other about it, because I genuinely do like both politicians. I'm a Trump guy. I don't hate Ron DeSantis. In fact, I've said very high praise about Ron DeSantis. I have said that the movement he is starting at the state level is arguably like the most important thing that conservatives will do in the decades of the 2020s, and that includes if Trump wins again, right? So I'm not exactly saying that I hate the guy, but also I would say that my opinion on the situation more or less reflects the average Republican voter. You knock on the average door in the United States that's registered Republican and ask them, what do you think about Trump and what do you think about DeSantis? Are they going to say that they totally hate one person or the other? Or are they going to say maybe they'll have a preference? And I think most people do. Some people prefer Trump. Some people prefer DeSantis. But I do think that your average Republican voter out there likes both Trump and DeSantis, right? I don't think they hate either one. And yet you go on Twitter, you go on the internet, and you would think the exact opposite, because it's both camps and a lot of political operatives in both camps just absolutely saying ridiculous bad faith things about each other. And so I try not to do that in my stuff, right? You will never hear me call Ron DeSantis he's a freaking he's a groomer or whatever they're saying. But at the same time, right, I try to give my genuine opinion on these issues. So All right, Christopher for $5, thank you very much, says, what scares you more, humanity? What scares you more? Humanity going back to its primitive stage or becoming so technological that humanity is unrecognizable? Thank you for the $5. Yeah, definitely the second one. Definitely the second one. I would rather go back to the cavemen. I'd rather go back to hunter-gathering than changing our existence to where, you know how they're talking about we're all going to upload our brain to a computer and we're just going to all like exist in the metaverse, exist in cyberspace. Yeah, I think that's much worse than going back to the Stone Age, in my opinion. So thank you for the $5, Christopher. I'll definitely have to take the second one there. And last super chat here before we go on. Burgundy Blue for $5 says, can't believe retard Ron, okay, is planning on, that's, that, you know, if I were Donald Trump, maybe, hey, is planning on doing a digital campaign announcement. Yes, and this is what I'm saying. This is antisocial, shows weakness, and gives an impression that he can't fill a room. I think you said it better than me. That's exactly how I feel about it. Thank you for the $5. All right, with that said, enough 2024 talk out of the way tonight. Again, tomorrow night we will we'll cover the announcement live and all that stuff. So if you want to watch the DeSantis announcement with us tomorrow, come join us here, 6 p.m. Eastern time, like I said. Special start time. But all right, on to Pride Month now. But let me take a sip of water. Don't you love ice cold water? Okay, it's such a everyone, oh, go drink soda. Everyone drinks so much soda. I don't get it. Water is the superior drink. Anyways, all right, into Pride Month. Let's start by talking about Target here. Is Target the next target? Pun intended. Haha, that was so funny. Are we laughing? Is Target the next target of conservative boycotts? Well, Fox News was the first to report today that Target held an emergency meeting over LGBTQ merchandise. By the way, Fox, why are we calling it LGBTQ? You might as well add the IA plus here, okay? Merchandise in some stores to avoid a, quote, Bud Light situation. Some southern locations move Pride displays and apparel away from the storefronts, okay? So Target is actually a little bit worried now that they might get some backlash. I don't know. Now, I think if you don't know what I'm talking about, I think most of you by now are aware of the controversy at Target and what this is all about. But for those of you who are unaware, let me show you a video that more or less explains the situation with Target. Okay, so if you're confused what's going on here, here's the context, sort of.
We're at Target right now, and there's a lot of controversy going on about all of the Pride stuff that's coming out with kids' clothes and things like that. So we're going to go to the kids section, and we're actually going to see if they're putting weird, creepy, uncomfy stuff on children's clothing. Okay, this is the child section. This is literally the kids section. I'm next to a literal onesie that says whatever the hell that means. We have Glad You Came Out and I'm So Happy That You're Queer in the kids section. Are you kidding me? I'm sorry, but pride and toddler don't belong in the same sentence. So I found an extra small swimsuit in the child section. It says light binding effect on it. And then the bottoms in the kids section, keep in mind, say tuck friendly construction. They're giving it to your kids. If that doesn't give you a reason to boycott Target, I don't know what does. But this shit's getting out of hand. They're targeting children, whether you like it or not. And it's time that people actually do something about it. Because if they don't, then guess what? That shit won't just be in Target, it'll be in every store, ever.
So there you have it. Target was pushing, not just Pride stuff on kids, but actively the tuck, quote unquote, swimsuits and whatnot. So basically, if you're trans and you want to hide that, they were selling that not just for adults but also for children. Are we even surprised at this point? We know these companies work for the devil. We know that they hate us. But here's what's interesting. What I find interesting about the situation, obviously boycott Target, this is disgusting, all that stuff, all the stuff you already know, I don't need to tell you. But what's interesting is the fact that they held this meeting to avoid a Bud Light situation. You guys see that? Do you notice that these corporations are starting to get not a whole lot, but just the slightest bit scared of conservatives now? Now, do they respect us fully by any means? No, they do not. Then let me make that clear, right? Because if Target really was trying to walk this back, they would drop it altogether. They'd stop selling the Pride stuff and the tuck clothes in their stores. But it is worth noting, in my opinion, that they're moving some of the stuff around to save face, right? And most of all, I noticed that phrase, a Bud Light situation. They're trying to avoid a Bud Light situation here, okay? That says a lot. It says a lot that the corporate world is now scared of a Bud Light situation. And what I think that goes to show is that while, don't get me wrong, we still have a ton of work to do. I'm not going to sit around and declare victory here, and nobody should. But if you're ever like super demoralized, like there's no chance here, let this at least be some evidence that we are making a little bit of ground. Because before the Bud Light situation especially, corporations had zero respect for us at all, right? Every single time we got, think about how this went under the Trump presidency and even the last few years until kind of very recently. Every time conservatives would get mad about something, what would the corporations do? Would they care? No, they just doubled down and would do it more and do it again. I don't remember in 2019 any corporations issuing any forms of apology or halfway compromises to try to save face. And that's the issue, right? We have said go woke, go broke for so many years, but we never actually meant it because it never actually happened. Never once has a company gone woke and gone broke until Bud Light, right? And now after Bud Light, we do have some degree of leverage and respect. And I think that is a decent sign that we are making some progress. I don't think that it's nothing. I don't think it is totally insignificant that companies are now having meetings trying to say, okay, let's not end up like Bud Light. Okay, let's figure out what to do. So I think it is worth noting. I do think it is. Now, with that said, before you come in the chat saying, well, Vince, they're not even changing. Yeah, exactly. Still, that's the same thing. We still have a ton of work to do. I'm not denying that because, firstly, as I said, if Target was serious, they would have removed this stuff entirely. And until they do, until the tuck stuff and Pride stuff is not in the store at all, we can't sit there and declare victory. So I wouldn't be fooled into thinking we have won. But again, this is an incremental thing, and this is progress. And I don't want to discredit that progress. I think the fact that they're now at least thinking, before they do something, they're at least thinking a little bit, is this going to piss the conservatives off too much? Should we try to consider to a degree what they're thinking? Again, I think that is a step. That is a step. But at the same time, again, have we won? No, we have not. And secondly, what I will say is that these boycotts in the future are going to get much more difficult than Bud Light. That's what I will also say, right? Bud Light was easy. That was the easy part. It was easy to boycott Bud Light. It's a garbage beer, right, that nobody likes anyway. So all you got to do, buy a different beer, okay? And on top of that, think about the demographics too. The demographics of Bud Light were such an overwhelmingly Republican group, right? Just like conservative dudes. That's like the main demographic that was even drinking it. So it's very easy. A small crack in the dam, you can totally destroy their business. But Target, right? And I'll admit this too, Target, that's a lot harder of a company to bring down. Disney, a lot harder of a company to bring down because their demographic base is a lot wider than just us, first of all. And then second of all, liberals support them. And thirdly, especially with Target, think about how reliant so many people are on this, right? Because it's easy to choose another beer. Heck, the other beers taste better. You're not giving up a lot to boycott Bud Light. But you guys need to understand this, right? If we are going to truly go through with all this boycott stuff, it's not going to be easy at the end of the day. Again, boycotting Bud Light, not the hardest thing to do. Just drink a different beer. Don't drink at all. Whatever. How do a lot of people, especially girls out there, right, go without Target? Well, that's the issue. That's why this is going to be difficult. Big box stores, you don't exactly have a lot of them out there. It's Target, Walmart, maybe Costco and Sam's Club. But again, this is not something that's going to be easy. It is something that is going to be quite difficult. And frankly, I would say you want to talk about parallel economy, perhaps we need to make some type of conservative alternative to Target or just to big box stuff in general, right? I don't know. That's just an idea. I don't know if something like that exists, but anyways, just an idea, just a thought. So to conclude here, right? Absolutely. Keep the pressure on Target. Do not relent. Do your best to boycott. But at the same time, is it going to be enough in this case? I don't know. Like, yes, with enough persistence, if we all really got together and said we're all going to boycott Target, we could absolutely ruin the company. But is that going to happen? Are enough people passionate enough to say, you know, you're on the shelf, you're not going to pick Bud Light, that's easy. But if you like really need something from Target, are you passionate enough to go leap over the sea to like go and find the alternative to Target? Again, I don't know if that's the case. Okay. So understand, while we are making progress in this fight, we still have a lot to do to do going forward. And, furthermore, I would say that maybe in the end, boycotts as a whole may not be enough, right? I think there needs to be some type of political answer also to these issues. And you might say that's a violation of the free market. They're free to sell what they want. But also think about ESG and think about the DEI scores we've talked about, right? Think about the fact that in many ways, either whether it's the government itself or especially BlackRock is a big one that what they'll do is they'll buy out entire shares of companies and basically just use that leverage to push this stuff and say, you better do this or we're going to stop investing in you. I mean, imagine how much, hey, whatever you want to say about free market. Imagine that one company, BlackRock and maybe a few other billionaires. Imagine if we just use the government to, I don't know, trust bust, go after them, do something. Wouldn't you get a return of an actual free market? Imagine how far that would go. I don't know, just a thought. So, but yeah, there it is. There's Target for you. Okay. Let's go on here to the Dodgers. Actually, let's read a few super chats and then we'll go on to the Dodgers here. Brandon Gross for $5 says, my favorite YouTuber keeps falling for the media biased articles about certain politics and the Jordan Neely situation and calling him a hero. Thank you for the $5, Brandon Gross. I hate to hear about it, but on another front, what do you mean? I'm not your favorite YouTuber? Come on now, guys. Come on now, Brandon. Come on. The implicit shot there. He's like, my favorite YouTuber is a liberal. Why am I not your favorite? Just kidding. Thank you for the $5. Homer for 20,000 dongs says, one of the designers of this merch is a Satanist. I actually totally forgot to mention that, and that is true. Yeah, the designer for this Target merch is indeed a Satanist. So, there you go. The ESG market is not a free market. Exactly. Absolutely, exactly. Someone gather a list of all ESG scores and we shop at the places with the lowest ESG score. So true. We need that. Okay, can someone do that? All the places that fail the ESG test, we're gonna say, let's go. Let's all go buy from these stores. This is so true. All right. With that said, last portion here of early Pride Month. On a related theme too, of us making progress, but also having a long way to go, we got to talk about the LA Dodgers. Heartbreaking to see. I grew up liking the Dodgers. I did. I used to have, you guys ever seen those? Is it politically incorrect to say cholo? Is that considered a slur? I don't know, but you know what I mean, right? Because where I grew up, everyone used to have those wide brim Dodger hats, and I had them too. This is what we did, okay? 8th grade Vince is heartbroken. He can't believe they done this. All right, anyways, on that related theme, the LA Dodgers have now caved to the anti-Christian hating lunatics and announced that the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, that is the drag queen nuns, will now indeed be featured at their Pride Night next month. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this situation, and that was quite a wordy introduction, let me kind of break down for you what's going on here, again, if you're unfamiliar. So, next month is Pride Month. The Dodgers are doing a LGBT Pride Night, which is gay enough in itself, pun intended, but they faced some criticism initially because they were going to feature this group called the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. That group is essentially it's supposed to mock Catholics in particular. It is nuns and other stuff in drag, but that's the main thing, right? It's a bunch of nun drag queens. So yes, this is a group obviously not just intended to, oh, we're just gay and proud of it. No, this is a group intentionally meant to directly disrespect and insult and spread hate towards Catholics in particular, right? And so, even for Pride Night, it is a little bit controversial perhaps to platform these people, which is why earlier this month, in a move that actually surprised me pleasantly, the Dodgers said, look, we're still going to do this gay Pride Night, which obviously is still cringe, but we're actually going to pull away. We're going to pull this drag queen nun group from the night because it may be too offensive and controversial towards the Catholics, which honestly, to me, was a little bit surprising, right? It was surprising that they made any concession to the right wing or whatever to begin with. And don't get me wrong, they're still doing Pride Night. So that's still a problem to me, obviously. But I was a little bit kind of pleasantly surprised to say, hey, they actually pulled this group. They actually said, no drag queen nuns. This is insulting to Catholicism and Christians in general. We're not going to allow this. So it was actually, I was actually pleasantly surprised. Now, you could see the other side of it, right? Which is that LA is a very liberal city, obviously, but it's also a Catholic city, right? It's a Catholic city because there's so many Hispanics. It's a super Hispanic city. And so while most Hispanics in LA do vote Democrat as a statistical fact and are probably rather ignorant of all these political issues, still, you shove that in the face of a majority Hispanic city, and it's right. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that this happened. But anyways, that's kind of went down here until today, when they just caved. Okay, they straight up caved after minimal pushback, by the way, I should add, right? I have sources in the ground in LA. Obviously, I grew up there. So in short, nobody really cared about this except a few local city councilmen said, hey, this is bad. And obviously your usual actors. I think most Dodger fans didn't really care one way or the other. But here you go. The LA Dodgers put out a statement today saying, after much thoughtful feedback from our diverse communities, honest conversations within the LA Dodgers organization, and generous discussions with the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence, the LA Dodgers would like to offer our sincerest apologies and blah, blah, blah. And now they're saying, we've asked these, again, these drag queen nuns, these people who have no purpose other than to just insult Catholics, to take their place on the field. So they are welcome back, and we're going to continue to work with LGBTQ plus partners to better educate ourselves and blah, blah, blah. Typical nonsense, right? Yeah. You hate to see it. It's sad to see. But as I said in the last segment, what does it go to show? Well, it goes to show that, again, the fact that they originally pulled them out says they are thinking about us. They are thinking a little bit about Christians, conservatives. They're starting to notice that there is a backlash. But at the same time, who is winning in the end? The left is winning in the end. The Christian haters are winning in the end, right? So it goes to show again that we still have a lot of work to do. Furthermore, what I will say, and further proof that we have a lot of work to do, is the fact that this type of stuff is only socially acceptable to do against Christians. Another thing worth noting, right? Because surely, could you imagine them doing this for any other group? Would the LA Dodgers ever platform the Muslim imams in drag? Muslims in drag. Oh yeah, I wonder how that would go, right? Would they do anything to insult any other religious group? Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, whatever it is. Absolutely not, right? And yet we live in a world where it is perfectly okay to insult Christians, and that's the only thing. That's the only thing. And there's this sense of, I guess you would say, anarcho-tyranny in the culture, right? We talk about anarcho-tyranny in a political context. How, in the Daniel Penny situation with Jordan Neely, for instance. Hey, on one hand, they won't defend you from the criminals, but on the other hand, if you defend yourself, you'll be arrested and thrown in jail. It's the same way in the culture, right? On one hand, it's totally okay to insult Christians, white people, men, all of that stuff, right? That's totally socially acceptable. In the same sense that it's okay for the criminals to go and assault you and do whatever they want to you. But if you do anything back, right? If you do anything back, oh, it's okay to say this about Christians? Well, Mr. Muslim, let me say, yeah, what happens then, right? What happens then? Hey, it's okay to say this about black people? I mean, about white people, sorry. Then let me say in response, right? You can't say anything offensive in reverse. You can't stereotype in reverse. And regardless of how you think it should be, right? It is important to note there is this standard of what you would call anarcho-tyranny, right? Because if it were truly a level playing field one way or the other, right? Either A, we all be nice to each other, or B, we have a total culture of free speech where it's okay to offend and insult and demean and do whatever to each other, then, right, it would at least be a level playing field. But we have that, much like the way it is in New York City with the crime, we have this state of anarcho-tyranny where it's, hey, you have to sit there and take it, Christians, white people, men. But if you try to just say the exact same thing back, that is horrible. Cancel all of that stuff. And again, what does that go to show you? It goes to show you that, yes, as much ground as we are making, there's still a lot of work to do in this culture. And, until that social standard changes, we still have a lot of work to do. I'd also ask, and this is what I'm curious, I'll close with this on the LA Dodgers thing. This is what I'm curious to see, is to what degree are the Catholic Hispanics in LA going to do anything about this, right? Can they be mobilized? Or are they going to get angry? I don't know. It's an interesting question, right? Because they're not exactly going out there voting Republican, but also we know the Democrats have a political machine there. If this issue is shoved in their face, certain values potentially they hold, what will happen? I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to be a total game changer, but there are certainly a lot more Catholics in Los Angeles than homosexuals for that demographic purpose. Just saying. So I don't know, just interested to see how that'll play out. And by the way, the minority of homosexuals there are in Los Angeles, we're not exactly watching baseball to begin with. So I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. But all right, there it is. There's our stories for tonight. It's a little bit shorter, 42 minutes. All right, no problem. We'll go to Super Chats now. I'll do about 30 minutes of Super Chats, unless I got an idea. We could do this. Do we want to do a call-in stream? Not just about anything, okay? Because every time we do a call-in stream, the main reason I don't like doing them is because you guys come in and you just ask like random questions or it's totally awkward or whatever. So, but I'm thinking we could do this. Do you guys want to do a call-in stream with the DeSantis supporters? Okay? What do you guys think of this? What's going on here? Is this stream out? What the? All right, are we back? I don't know what that was. OBS just logged out. They tried to shut us down. So true. The Matrix has got Vince. True. I had to go fight them. That's what happened. Okay. The brief seconds. Okay. They sent their and they knocked on the door. They're like, you're gonna do this show no more. Okay. And we had to confront, and we had a battle of Mortal Kombat, and that's exactly what just happened, and that's why the stream went out. It definitely wasn't because OBS, is just being stupid. No. It's because that's exactly what happened. Okay. All right, we're back. Are we back? I believe we are back. Okay, we're back on. Real. They tried to shut us down. Not gonna happen. Not gonna do it. Okay. All right. No, I don't think we are. Are we streaming? What the heck is going on? Okay, are we here? All right, I think we're back. Did it even go out, or is that just on my... I don't know what's happening. What's going on? They're trying to shut... The LA Dodgers. Okay, the LA Dodgers are trying to shut down this stream. All right? Rumor has it, they have my fiber optic cable and they're looking at it, and they're trying to swing at it. Okay, so every time that the stream goes down, all right, they get I don't know who even plays for the Dodgers. I haven't watched baseball since Manny Ramirez. I used to have a Manny Ramirez jersey, but what, is Kershaw still there? Kershaw can't bat. I don't know. Kershaw's just throwing pitches, okay? And every time he hits the fiber optic cable, the stream goes out. Rumors have it this is exactly what's going on. Okay. Anyways, Real Texan Politics for $10. Thank you very much. Says, why does the LGBT community claim that God or Jesus was a non-binary, transgender, drag queen, etc., but they don't claim that Muhammad or Allah was the same, despite Islam being far less tolerant towards the LGBT? Thank you for the $10, Real Texan Politics. And, I don't know. It might have to do with the fact that Muhammad on the LGBT... Anyways, there's a certain story there with a certain wife of his. But, anyways. It's because, number one, I think they're far more afraid to insult Islam and Muslims, because, to the credit of Muslims, you got to give them credit here, they don't exactly screw around, right? They don't exactly just sit there and take it like Christians in the West do, And this is a point that I know people like Sneeko and Andrew Tate and stuff raise about Islam, and I for the record, I don't think that the softness of the way Christians act in the West particularly, or the fact that Muslims are like standing up against it, I don't think that makes Islam true and Christianity false. I mean, number one is what I would say about that. But still, I do kind of understand the point that they make, because if I were to be totally honest, if I were totally secular today and I saw the way a lot of Christians just failed to stand up to this stuff and just sat there and take it, and I saw the way the Muslim world didn't, I might think a similar thing, right? The Western church in particular is very feminized and just soft and are pushovers about everything, and I don't think that's the case everywhere, right? Do churches in Africa sit there and take it? No. Do the Orthodox churches in Eastern Europe just sit there and allow? No, they don't, right? They don't put up with it, as they shouldn't. But, it is true that, number one, it's so easy to insult Christians here in the West because we just sit there and take it. That's it, right? And I'm obviously not saying go beat up people or anything. Let me be clear. That's not what I'm saying. But we know what I'm saying, right? Everyone is just like, oh, well, you want to insult me around the place? Okay, fine. Okay, I'm sorry. And then they'll kneel for George Floyd, right? Oh, George Floyd Church. But, never actually take a stand on the issue of LGBT. And so, it's just no surprise. It's just no surprise this is the way things are. So, all right, let's see. Is the stream actually back? Like, I never know at this point. Are we still here? Okay, I think we're still here. All right. Sheeny Beanie says, well, we don't need to be militant like the Muslims. But that's a caricature, Sheeny Beanie. Because, yeah, obviously, I'm not saying be the Taliban. But there's a lot also more moderate countries in the Middle East that are not, like, throwing people off rooftops. They just don't tolerate that stuff. They just say, no, this is not what you're going to do in our country, right? Like the United Arab Emirates or whatever. Which I'm not saying adopt everything that they do. I'm just saying that, the general rules, they literally just don't sit there and take it, right? And yeah, I'm not saying to be militant either, but I feel like also oftentimes that's a cope, right? It's a cope because we just want to make excuses for why Christians in the West literally just sit there and like do nothing about anything. And they refuse to have any type of response, like of passion, right? Or conviction about anything, okay? And yeah, I mean, that, like, I feel that the Western church in many ways is very, I would use the term feminized. Maybe that's the wrong term, but I don't know. That's just kind of the way I feel about it, Okay. All right. Anyways, Jesus also said he came to fulfill the word. Yeah, exactly. Fulfill the word, not retreat from the word. All right. Anyways, should we do this call-in thing? I think this is a good idea. I say let's do it. Okay. All right, I'm going to open up a Zoom call right now. And I will say, I don't know if we even have any in the chat right now, but I will say, if you support Ron DeSantis and you disagree with my opening segment, or I mean, we could eventually turn it into just a call-in Q&A, but let me see. Okay. I wanted to at least start off as being something interesting, something debate-based. If Zoom will even work. I don't know what's going on here. What are you doing? Why is my whole computer is being laggy right now? I think it might be, maybe that's why the stream keeps going out. It's like lagging. What is going on? Okay, the Dodgers are back. The Dodgers are back throwing baseballs at my computer. What is going on here? All right. All right, I don't know what that was. But okay. All right. Let me okay. All right, so this should be the Zoom link. Let's see. Copy invite link. I'm just going to put it in chat and we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Call in if you support DeSantis and want to debate. All right, this will be fun. Let's do this. All right, there's the link, chat. There's the link. And while you guys file in there, let me hook up the audio to, this thing, so that way it actually plays and whatnot. So, give me a second to do that. But I think this is a good idea. This could go horribly wrong. I will say that. I don't know what's going to happen here. But we might as well give it a try. So let's see. Okay, so the audio now should be sharing, I believe. Yes. Okay, and then let me move this here. And okay, we should be good to go. Hold on. All right, boom. Boom. Compressor on. Good to go. Okay. Let's see if anyone even joins. I don't know how many DeSantis supporters are currently watching this show. But here. I mean, you guys can call in for other stuff too, but let's give it a few minutes to see if there's particularly DeSantis people who join it, okay? So let's see. Oops, my bad. Did I pin it? Did I pin the chat? Hold on. Okay, all right. I've pinned the link. So let's see if anyone actually joins this Zoom call. In the meantime, guys, I'm answering super chat. So any questions or comments that you want read or answered, anything you want to talk about, I mean, we're open for that stuff too, okay? But the Zoom call is now open. So if you want to come in and debate about DeSantis, feel free to do so. Okay? All the people, which is not a lot, it's a minority, but all the people who get very angry at my Trump DeSantis takes, now's your chance. The Zoom, again, pinned a link right now in the live chat. It's open. All right? Feel free to pull up. Let's do it. Square up then, DeSantis, DeSimps. So true. Time to pretend. I'm curious if anyone actually... We got, 67 people watching? I'm curious to see if we'll get anything. I don't know. It's looking grim so far. Maybe someone's getting ready. Which, by the way, the only thing projecting, if you're curious, guys, only thing projecting to the stream will be your audio. It's going to be an actual call-in. So if you're getting dressed right now, don't worry. But just don't worry, okay? It's an audio thing, okay? So you don't need to do that. But, I do hope we get one DeSantis support. Come on, you people are so loud on Twitter, and I can't get one to call into the show. I don't believe that. True American says we should elect DeSantis. Okay, call into the Zoom. Let's talk. I'm not here to set you up, okay? We'll be very nice, okay? Get along. But, to lose to Joe again? Okay. All right. Senator Lindsey Graham, why don't you call in? We'll have the real Senator Lindsey Graham on the show. Come on now. Real Texan Politics for $2 says, GOP Josh is an alpha male. The haters are cringe. So true, Real Texan Politics. I 100% agree. We stand with GOP Josh. Frankly, he's the one person I would support over Trump for president if he was old enough, okay? We need GOP Josh in office. And it's so true. And who are the haters, too? The haters see some, how old is he? 16? And they're like, I can't believe this guy, you're hating on a kid. It's cringe. They're clearly obsessed. And we GOP Josh is our king, okay? We support GOP Josh. Absolutely. So, all right, we got one. Micah M has entered the waiting room. Let's go. We're so back. We are so back. Yo, okay, Micah. Can you hear us? I can't hear him. Hold on.
Test.
Yeah, we can hear you.
This is the tech boy, sorry.
Oh yeah, what's up, man? How you been?
Fine, thanks. Okay. Yeah, I think I support him. Because all right, there I'm back. I think I support him. I think he's done some good things, so if you have any questions.
Well, I like you more so to like approach me with the thing, and then we'll talk about it. Like, so what in particular do you say? Here's why I prefer DeSantis over Trump, and then we could address that particular debate. Is I guess how.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think it's younger. He's done plenty. You should know. You live in that state. Etc.
Okay. So I would say on the age front, I mean, I understand it, but I don't think it should be a deal breaker one way or the other, right? Yeah, Trump is a little bit older. I understand the age concern. At the same time, I think he still has a decent amount of energy. You're sure it's not what it was in 2016, but I would still even argue probably in his old age, I think on an energy front and whatnot, Trump is just better than, or at least the same, but honestly, I would argue that Trump still to this day is a more magnetic personality than DeSantis on the first front. And then secondly, on the policy front, I definitely agree that DeSantis is a very good governor on the state level, but I think it's not enough to just say those will translate one-to-one to federal politics. I think you have to really realistically say how much of it is going to be able to translate, which some of it probably, yeah, sure. But my biggest concern, I mean, number one, right? He's going to deal with divided government. So it's not like he's going to make America Florida in a literal sense. However, yes, I think on issues, he's decent and whatnot. But kind of as I alluded to in the opening monologue, I don't think he's the revolutionary leader that we need in the current moment to truly, take on the federal state, truly shake up politics, which, yeah, you could say Donald Trump might not do that either, but I think Donald Trump has more potential to do that in a second vindictive term than Ron DeSantis, first of all. And, I think that because of the situation we're in as a country at the moment, we don't have a lot of time left to really get this ship on track. I don't think it's enough to just elect someone who's going to be, decent on policy. Sure, Ron DeSantis could potentially be a very good president, but if I were to play the probability game in terms of what do I expect to get out of this person and that person and how likely is it, I think it's much more likely that Donald Trump steps up and is the sort of revolutionary guy to shake up the system that we need, especially in a second term, as compared to Ron DeSantis maybe just being like a decent governor or whatever, right?
Maybe, but I'm a person of morals, and I think he's a bit more Christian. But I do like what you said about the personality. I'm actually going to run for school president next year again, and I think that my personality is very
cool.
Polarizing, which is going to get me more votes because I'm the person everyone goes and asks questions about, basically what you did.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I understand the personal morality arguments against Trump, but I think at the same time, this is something that was brought up in 2016, and the kind of results, I think, speak for themselves, right? The reality is the first term of Trump and the movement of Trump has been incredibly beneficial for Christians in America. We would not even be discussing this concept of Christian nationalism if Donald Trump had not come along and kind of told people to stand up and fight. And then also, I think that especially in electoral politics, it is, I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I think it's a topic that's very overplayed very often, in the sense that, I mean, let's be honest, are any of the figures that stand there and talk about Donald Trump's morality, especially in the political establishment, are they exactly so clean themselves? I mean, we find out very often that there's so many people that will sit and talk about morality and this and that and how the, conservatives are hypocrites, and then will totally be far, far worse. And so I don't know the skeletons that are in Ron DeSantis's closet. I'm not saying he yes or no or how he really is on that front, but I just think that, in the context of politics, especially considering we have a system where we're literally like tasked with electing imperfect people, I think we just have to look at the bigger picture, right? Overall, I think, and I think, the bigger picture for Christians as a whole is that, for the reasons I listed out, I think that Trump, even if he's not the most pious guy, is just overall a net benefit for Christians in this country, right? And I think, because of the fact largely that Christian leadership in this country has failed for so many decades, that's why someone like Donald Trump had to come along and say, you guys aren't doing this right. And so I would hope that, in the future, yes, maybe we can get someone with, a more esteemed record of personal morality. But I don't know in this time or place if it's really the most big issue. I think we need to look at, I don't think that when we elect politicians, we're looking at, how good of a person is this? I think it's, what is this person going to do for the country? I think that's the first thing you have to ask. I think that's what we're tasked to do when we vote on these leaders. And so I don't know if, I necessarily buy or care one way or the other on terms of the personal morality front.
True, but that's just how I see things too, as a Christian first. And yeah, but thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, no problem.
Bye.
See ya. All right, let's see. Did we get any other people in the waiting room? We did not. Join the call. Do we know we have no dis-simps? Are there really zero dis-simps? Come on now. All right, let's see what's going on in the chat. My school... Oh, wait, I think I missed some super chats. I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. $1 for $2 says, no DeSantis fans, because this isn't a Twitter space. It's so true. So true. Exactly. That is exactly the case. Should we put this out on Twitter? Should we do that? I might do that. I might put it out on Twitter and say, and we'll do it that way, right? I feel like we should do that. But then people are going to try to join the, like, how fast are people going to respond? I have no idea. His servant says personal morality should be top. Why? I understand that it's important, but again, that's just not how I view the political system. We're voting on what policies and overall things are going to affect the country, okay? Because someone can be a very good, personally moral person and a terrible leader. And I think that in the context of politics, we have to look at the greater morality of the country, okay? And there's a lot of people who are probably much better Christians than Donald Trump who would not do as much of a net good for faith and our values in this country as Donald Trump did. And maybe that's an interesting way in which God works in mysterious ways, right? And I think he does. But I think that this whole idea of the most important thing in our politician is their personal morality. Like, I think, honestly, I also think it's in many ways a psyop. Because how is it often used? It is only used against the people who are good on the issues, okay? Who's the only people you hear about the personal morality of? The more conservative politically leaders in government, Donald Trump, Matt Gaetz, Madison Cawthorn, whoever. You mean to tell me that you don't think all these neocons and the establishment Republicans who you never hear about, you don't think they are far, far worse people? I think they're far, far worse. But you never hear about it because why? Because the personal morality psyop is only brought up when a leader comes along and like actually does things that are good and are actually conservative. And so that's why I think the whole thing is a virtue signal, right? It's not to say that in the context of their salvation or their soul or their life, it doesn't matter. But I think that when we vote in politics, we're not voting on how good of a person is this person. We're voting on what is this person going to do for the net overall good of the country. And I think it is absolutely just undeniable to say that even if Donald Trump is not someone who I would want to be the pastor of my church, he has done far, far better overall for Christianity in this country than a lot of like hardcore professing Christian politicians actually have done. And so I think when it comes to the context of elections, I don't think you're voting on personal morality. I think you're voting on overall the morality of the country. What is best for Christianity and our faith and our values and our politics in the country, right? And so that's why I don't buy this whole psyop that like we can't elect Donald Trump because of personal morality. Very often spoken by, not you, but by politicians who are worse people than Donald Trump, right? It's in many cases, it's also a projection. It's also a psyop. And so, the way I see it is I just understand this is a republic or quote unquote democracy, whatever you want to call it. This is representative government. And there's how many hundreds of people in Congress and on the state level and all that stuff. Not all of them are going to be upstanding individuals, okay? But you have to look at the overall big picture of what's going to do the most net good for the country, okay? That is the way I view our political system. And if you disagree with it, if you think it's such an issue, then maybe don't set up this political system. Because I'm not the one who was told, I'm not the one who is telling people that they have to embrace democracy. This is the system that we are handed. We're handed the system where I am asked to elect so and so many people to certain positions of government. So if you give me the power to do it as the voter, then I'm going to say, okay, what's overall the best for everyone? That's just the way I see it. And it's like, okay, Donald Trump is not a good personal moral person. Okay, but how many babies did he just save, right? Like, yeah, I agree. It's gray. It's not really an ideal system. But you know what's not an ideal system? Democracy, right? It was never my choice to say we got to live in a stupid democracy. Because honestly, you want my real opinions on that, right? But no, in all seriousness. So if this is the system we're being handed, and we have such a big government where there's like hundreds of people, yeah, you can't expect them all to be moral people. They're not, okay? And unless a bunch of church leaders, if a bunch of pastors want to go run for president, then I'd say go for it. Go for it. I'd be happy to hear them out. And if their ideas are good, then I'll support them. And I'll say, yeah, it's a good thing they're personally moral people and all this stuff. But oh, wait, we can't do that because most Christians in America and churches say we're going to stay out of politics. So what do you want us to do, right? Because that's the other issue. There's so many churches and religious organizations in this country that we're not about politics. Let's not get involved in politics. But at the same time, they'll stand there and virtue signal about how Donald Trump is not moral. Oh, the people in conservative politics are not, they don't have great personal morality. What the heck are you doing about it? Nothing, because you argue that you're above politics. Okay, if you're so above politics, then how are you going to look down on people who are actually being the man in the arena, right? Teddy Roosevelt, man in the arena. How are you going to look at the man in the arena when so many Christians in this country refuse to get involved in politics? They refuse to vote. Church leaders who constantly stand there and virtue signal about Donald Trump's morality are doing nothing to actually contribute to the political scene or the political discourse. What are we supposed to do? I can't stand like being lectured about more personal morality in our politicians or in Donald Trump by people who, again, are not the men in the arena, right? No one steps up to be the man in the arena. But we're going to talk about how I don't like this person, his questionable personal morality. So therefore, even though this person is saving babies and in advocating conservatism and making a better overall social environment for Christianity to flourish in the country, but their personal morality. Okay, again, first of all, what are we voting on? Are we voting on a person to lead our church, or are we voting on a person to make policies for the country? That's number one. And then number two, what is overall the best net positive for everything? Okay, that's how you have to see it, frankly. And I kind of wish that democracy were around in biblical times so that we could have more easy way to discern like how to approach this system, but maybe it's because the whole system itself is not really the way the kingdom of God is structured, right? Heaven is not a democracy. But you hand me this very complicated and stupid and frankly degenerate political system and ask me to make the best of it, and then when I try to make the best of it, they say you're doing it wrong. Okay, well, who's the man in the arena and who's not? So if you're gonna go elect 500 moral and righteous and just evangelical pastors to office, then do it. Oh, but you're not. But every time someone steps up and does something adequately conservative and actually is not just a total pushover who panders and virtue signals to the left for 365 days of the year, suddenly personal morality. I can't stand that conversation. It's so silly, okay? Anyways, dollar for $5 says, can you look at the Political Compass IG page's stories? He asked if you're planning on having kids and showed all the people not having kids responses. All right, let's take a look here. Thank you for the $5, dollar for dollar. And by the way, I'm fully aware people are going to take what I'm saying out of context about this personal morality thing again. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's just the dialogue on it is so backwards and misguided, okay? And frankly, if you're going to do that and say, okay, that's why I support Taylor Marshall for president and I'm Catholic and all that stuff, if you are, then I get that. I can understand that. I can respect that. But, with the exception of him, there's very few religious figures that, especially Christian figures, well, that's who we're talking about, who actually get involved in the political scene. But they always have something to say, don't they? They always have something to say. I can't find it dollar for dollar. I don't see anything on his story. Am I blocked? Am I blocked from his story? I don't see it, but thank you for the $5. Sandra Meyer says, Vince, someone else said they called in. They just popped up, so here we go. All right. DeSantis bro has entered the waiting room. Here we go. Den Santis bro. What is up, Den Santis bro? You're live, I believe. Can you hear me? Hello? Den Santis bro? He might be connecting to computer audio. You know how Zoom works? You gotta press the connect to computer audio thing. Are you there, Den Santis bro? Question mark. Can he hear you? Can you hear me? We cannot hear you. Hello? Hello? Okay. I don't know. We'll keep reading chat in the meantime here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Let me see. I'm trying to look for while this guy tries to get his mic on. Yeah, exactly. We're voting on policies for the nation. That is what you're voting on. And I would, maybe even if you want to go beyond policies, just overall implications for the country, okay? Okay. Yo, DeSantis, bro. Can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, what's up?
Well, first of all, Trump did 714 with you.
Well, first of all, I don't know what 714 is, so continue. Okay. All right. Anything else? He's now muted his mic. I don't know what's going on.
The reason why we should elect DeSantis is because you and Trump are behind 714.
You got us. You exposed us. So
I
true.
know.
I concede. You've won. You've won.
Now, what truly happened? What truly happened?
I can't speak on that. I'm under a non-disclosure agreement. The Matrix approached me after 714 and said you can never speak about this, okay? And if I do speak about it, I will get literally vaporized. I would just dissolve, okay? I'll just dissolve into thin air. Everyone in chat's asking what is 714. I don't know. I know nothing.
You do know.
I don't know nothing.
Know.
I did nothing.
You better watch out. The CIA is coming.
I don't know anything about 714. I did not turn off that microphone. Okay, he left. All right, that was a troll call. It's trolling about this thing called 714. I don't even know what that is. Vince got trolled. I mean, yeah, there's gonna be troll calls. Like I don't mind that, but yeah. DeSantis is suppressing the truth about 714. I don't know what you're talking about. DeSantis bro confronts DeSantis on 714 real. Again, I don't know what you're talking about. No one knows what 714 is. So the guy must be an OG. Perhaps he is. He literally spoke for 30 minutes on mute. Yeah. Well, that sounds like I don't know. I just added him to the call, and then that was what happened. Bro is higher than the angry man at the Olympics. Yo, we got weed call-ins. It was funny. I'll give it that. It was funny. Green Destroyer for $10 says, do you have to be religious to be conservative? Thank you for the $10, Green Destroyer. I mean, I don't think you have to be religious to have conservative ideas. You can believe in conservative things without being religious, but I do think it's important to recognize that the moral philosophy of conservatism, I think, is contingent on a view of God and a belief in God, in terms of the like what a conservative believes in. And you could say, oh, well, no, but you could argue this design of ordered nature and this and that. But I would still overall say, for the most part, it is resting on that. And then specifically, I think in particular in the context of the West, if you are conservative, then it's important to recognize the sort of old school values or traditional or classical civilization that you say you are conserving is linked to the historic faith of the West, which is Christianity, right? And so, yeah, I think you can be a conservative without being religious, but I think it's in some ways, because I think that the ideology of conservatism, whether or not you kind of acknowledge its source, because you can believe in ideas without acknowledging or believing in their foundation, but I think the foundation of conservatism is inherently rests on a belief in God or a belief in a natural creator, right? And so, you know, I would say you can, but it's just the ideology itself does stem from a belief in God. So that's what I would say about it. But thank you for the $10, Green Destroyer. I appreciate it very much. We'll leave the call open for 10 more minutes? Should we do 10 more minutes here? All right, we'll go to 9:30. We'll go to 9:30. So the call-in thing is open till 9:30. I doubt anyone else is gonna call in at this point. Oh, here we go. We got this guy. Okay. All right, here we go. All right. Dunamis, can you hear me? Is he here? Hello? All right, while we wait for him. Daniel McQuaid for $13.99 says, not only must you be religious to be an authentic conservative, but you must also be Christian. You can align with conservative ideas, but you are missing its essence if you aren't Christian. Thank you for the $13.99, Daniel McQuaid. I mean, yeah, that's the way I basically see it too. But yeah, I was kind of answering the question of, yeah, you can believe in the conservative worldview without being Christian. But yeah, Western conservatism is linked to Christianity. It's built on a Christian worldview. So it's basically like believing in an idea without the foundation, which you can do. You can hypothetically do it. It's just, that's partially why I also say it's going to be hard to have a genuine total revival of conservatism in America without a revival of faith, because the two are intertwined. But on a personal level, I suppose you can believe in conservative things without being Christian, or religious, but overall, I tend to agree with the sentiment.
Hey Vince, can you hear me?
Hey, what's up? Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, are we still doing the DeSantis thing, or can we just round up on something else?
I mean, I'm trying to still do the DeSantis thing, but I suppose you could ask about whatever.
Oh no, yeah, I just wanted to bring up real quickly. I think my personal favorite video that has ever come out from your channel is not even one that's on your main timeline. I think it was one that you did quite a while ago. I think it's a part of the members block where you just like went off on stoners, on weed smokers. It looked like some kind of story or a Snapchat story or
I think
something.
that's what it was.
I swear I have that thing marked on like my favorites video folder, and I just like watch it from time to time because it's genuinely one of the most hilarious things I've ever seen ever. And honestly, it just literally spoke my mind because speaking from myself, sad to say that most of my social circles are sadly kind of a stoners, and everything you said is absolutely true. Like all the archetypes and all this.
Can we get into the to the specifics of that then? Because I honestly don't remember exactly what I said in that. But yeah, I think I was generally making the point, right, that like weed is designed to kind of make you dumb and rot your brain and all that stuff, and stoners are. So I don't know, particularly kind of what are some examples of that in your life, you'd say?
I think you hit the nail on the head when you brought up that they just simply can't quit. They simply can't quit. They say all the time they can quit. They can literally never quit. You dare them to quit. You can literally bet on it. I'm so confident to even bet money on it.
It's addictive. It used to not be addictive in the 60s, but in the 90s they increased the THC levels and all the stuff they were growing in South America. And yeah, it's addictive now.
Yes, I think, and I think it's very sad that that nowadays it's even used as as a medical cope, right? Because a lot of stoners will make the case that nowadays is a lot of the time is absolutely necessary to treat whatever it is they have, and most of the things that they treat and that they're treating are just like general things that human beings, especially young human beings, feel from time to time, which is AKA anxiety.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Yeah,
no, literally stuff like that. I'm just like, there's so many other ways to deal with those, literally. So it's to me the whole using weed as a way to cope with it is the most counterproductive thing on the planet, because it's literally just it only lasts for so long. What is that going to do? It literally just brings you on a trip for like maybe an hour or something, or just like a period of time, and then you're back to your normal state. You're literally doing nothing. Literally doing nothing.
I mean, it's a cope. Like, why do you have anxiety? Why don't you try to address the root of the problem instead of numbing yourself? But then B, I would say, what's the link between the cause of anxiety and all this marijuana? Right? I don't know if anyone ever asked the question or they use it as a cope, but I genuinely would probably venture to say a lot of the anxiety, quote unquote, that they feel is caused by marijuana withdrawals, which is why, in the same way, tobacco smokers get it who are addicted to that. It's like, I need it, and then they touch it. But yeah, I mean that's absolutely true. It's very true.
No, yeah, absolutely, and I think it's probably the laziest way you can go about it and deal with it. Also, it's just because it's the easy way out. It's literally the easy way out. So I mean, and I think you touched upon the little video story there, that they're just like genuinely annoying. They're genuinely annoying, and that they're the most obnoxious people on the planet. I love my friends, I love my circles, but honestly, a lot of the stereotypes are true. Yeah, and I'm just like,
I have like two friends who are stoners, and it's the exact same. And it's always, bro, I'm not addicted. Bro, just try it. Bro, it's based.
Literally.
I'm like, bro, no, Nixon moment. You're gay, and we make fun of each other. But yeah, it's true. Yeah.
But honestly, at least I'm so used to seeing it around that at least I'd not really, for any objective reasons, prefer people doing weed instead of what I'm about to say, but at least it's become common enough to where I would rather see somebody smoke weed than somebody vape. That's how cringe it is to me, because it's obviously it's not, it's not for any moral not moral objective reasons, because I mean, they're both not good for you, et cetera, et cetera. Neither of them is better than the other. But I just see somebody vape, and I just have this uneasy cringe feeling inside of me, because I at least see weed enough to where I won't even bat an eye, but where I just see, just people vape, is just, yeah, no. So I mean, I think the same thing that that applies for stoners, I think that can apply to vape, people who do vape.
Yeah, and then I guess one thing I forgot to say is I think that there are some. I think I've heard some good experiences with people with like CBD oil and how they say it actually works. And honestly, I don't know, maybe you disagree. I'm kind of fine with it now because I've realized how evil Big Pharma is. And I'm like, okay, maybe it works. But I would say in the same sense, yeah, I mean, we use fentanyl for medical purposes, right? There are a lot of hard drugs that you use different doses or whatever of for medical purposes. But I think people use it as a cope. They say, I need to smoke a bunch of weed for my anxiety. Or some people say, oh, my joint pain. It's like, no, you can just do the CBD oil, right? So it is true. All right, thank you for calling in, man. We got 3 other people in the waiting room, so I want to try to get to them here. But thank you, man.
Godspeed.
Godspeed, you too. All right, let's see. 3 people entered the waiting room. Okay, and one person is named Stacey Abrams. Was that the Stacey Abrams in the waiting room? All right, let's see. Should we add Stacey Abrams, Joel, or Orthodox, bro? Okay, let's add Stacey Abrams. Okay, Stacey Abrams, you are live on the Vince Dow Show. You're live on the Vince Dow Show. Care to explain why you've been dragging my name through the mud and spreading false allegations, Stacey? You care to explain?
Well, yeah. Hey, I'm Stacey Abrams. I just want to know why you haven't been answering my calls.
I have your number blocked because you're a dumb blank. Okay. Stop calling me. Stop. Stacey, we don't like you. Nobody likes you, Stacey. Okay.
Well, okay, Chad. I made a whole Excel sheet about you for that reason.
You made a whole Excel sheet. What does that even mean? Did you also eat a whole drum of a whole bucket of for me too? Like that's not impressive. That's not cool. We don't understand. What's the point of that? Okay, Stacey, you are gluttonous. Stacey, you need to stop trying to contact me and lose some weight. Okay, because honestly, I mean, think about this logically. Obesity is real, right? If you want to live a long life of constantly trying to contact me, you got to lose the weight. You got to stop eating so much, Bojangles and get your act together, Stacey. Come on. You got a fake governorship of Georgia to work for, okay? The people are counting on you, Stacey, and you cannot waste your time just obsessed with,
Well, are you doubting my title as governor of Georgia?
Well, no, we all know, right? You're the real governor of Georgia. I never did that once, Queen. Of course you are, right? The true governor of.
Well, as first gentleman of Georgia, you shouldn't be doubting that.
Again, this is like bordering on rape at this point. Frankly, this is verbal sexual assault. Okay. What are you talking about? Stacey, I don't want you. Okay. I don't like liberal women. I don't like gluttonous women. Okay. We're not into it. All right.
Well, at this point, I'm about to write another novel about you if you don't stop.
Okay, go ahead. Let's do it. Yes, go ahead. 100%. Write your best novel about me, Stacey Abrams. Please do that.
Well, I guess that's all I have to say.
Yeah. Have a nice life. Have a nice life, Miss Abrams. All right, so that was the real Stacey Abrams, by the way. You're like, no, that wasn't. That was Roman's trolling. No. That was a real Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams called into the show. Vince, me too. Yeah, I like literally, this is a Me Too moment. I am being verbally assaulted by Stacey Abrams. Okay? Can we get a like in this? Can we get a like on the show? Because I truly am a victim. I'm a victim of verbal assault, okay? From the fake governor of Georgia. And frankly, I need my reparations for this. So if you'd like to send in the reparations via the super chats, because you know I need to feel better, okay? I need my Cope ice cream. That was a very traumatic experience. It was a very traumatic experience. Okay, all right, let's see. Who else we got? All right. We got Zachary in the waiting room. Okay. All right, what's up, Zachary? This will be the last caller, okay? And then we're going to call it a night. So this is the last caller. Zachary, the king. You guys can't see. He's driving his truck. He's driving his truck as we speak. What's up, Zach? Good to see you, man. We can't hear him. Can you guys hear him? I cannot hear him. True American says sorry for trolling as DeSantis. Well, I'm not mad about it. It was funny. I'm not angry at you. It's all good. It's quite entertaining. Okay? It's quite entertaining. All right, we can't hear Zachary. What's happening here? We cannot hear him. He's connecting to the audio. Zach, you need to connect to computer audio or whatever the button is. That's why we can't hear you right now. Why suppose he can't hear? Because he's not connected to computer audio. Never mind. All right. While he figures that out, Brian E says that DeSantis' mascot is a literal swamp creature. Okay, I will defend DeSantis from that. I think the alligator is cool. I think it fits. Don't insult the gators. That's my school mascot and my state mascot. All right? I get it. I get they're going to make that joke. I don't have a problem with that. Okay? Alligators are based. Alligators are inherently right-wing creatures, okay? They're so funny, too. The way they just sit there. How can you hate gators? Oh, but Vince, they eat people. I don't care. They're funny. They look funny. You ever seen the gators when they sit in the sun and they just lie there all day? How they're so lazy? It cracks me up. And then the way they walk, they're like... This is how a gator walks. Am I on camera? Okay. They're like... It's hilarious. Okay? Don't be disrespecting the gators. We very much enjoy gators. Okay? Gators are funny. But yeah, I agree. That's what they're gonna say. Not everyone has the opinion of gators. Okay, Zachary, what's up? You are live on the Vince Dow Show.
Oh yeah, sorry.
He's calling me
from his. I had to find a way to get the audio, and I was driving, so I had to find a place to pull over and park.
Yeah, no problem. How you doing, man?
Okay,
what's up?
Yes. I am doing well. Just on my way home from work. Final stretch.
Very epic. How was your work day?
Went well. We really grinded today. A whole street. We took it as a challenge to finish the entire street in one day. I was on bun crew.
Well, there you go. Did you guys get it finished?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. We love to see for once the roads getting fixed. You know, where I grew up in California, that project would probably take like a year. And more than that, okay? They said they've been fixing the 405. It's been like 5 years. They're still there. I don't know what's going on. So, you know, good for you. Good for you fixing the stuff. Do you have any questions or comments or thoughts to share?
Let's see here. Some main thing, DeSantis. So, right there, so main thing, I do right now support DeSantis, but I generally right now have the decision where it's not wise to basically put my vote out there. So basically, I'm not going to dedicate myself to a candidate to have them work for my vote. Just make sure I get the right, the best thing. You know what I'm saying?
I think that's fair. Yeah. What is it about
So
DeSantis that you kind of favors you over Trump, or you know what I mean?
The main thing for me was his stance on foreign policy. Right there, when Tucker asked DeSantis the question about what we should do in regards to Ukraine, DeSantis gave the perfect answer for me. And while that does come into contradiction with his previous statements that I would have to take into account, I have hope, and I'm willing to take the risk that he is willing to follow through. So that is why I now support DeSantis.
Well, if you look after in the Piers Morgan interview, he walked it back slightly, and he actually said that they took it out of context. So I don't know if that's true, but I also think that I notice on the foreign policy front, especially, I feel like DeSantis just tries to read the room and give a political answer, right? I think Trump's answer regarding how it's not as much our fight and Europe has to do more and whatnot, it's just more straightforward to me. I feel like I have not heard a straightforward answer from DeSantis really on that question. He kind of changes it and walks around, and honestly, for me, that's been one of my that's his politician-y thing, right? That's been sort of the behavior I've seen. So I don't know. That's the way I've seen it from him.
And once again, I do say that I do agree with that sentiment, where Donald Trump, I do trust that answer a lot more. But to me, forcing Europe to do more isn't enough. With how they've been treating America for the last decade, calling us an empire for literally protecting them from Russia, while they, we have to pull up their slack for their military lacklusterness, and basically then have to torpedo ourselves into a lot of debt for it, and endanger our young men, the future of our nation, for them, and then they just spit on their graves. I just had enough. It caused me to not care at all about Europe's conflicts, and just let them handle it. Call it a grudge, probably is, but I just can't support that at all.
Well, I mean, I agree with you on that front, but then I would also say I don't know if DeSantis might be a decent, not a total George Bush hawk on the question of foreign policy. Honestly, we don't really know. But I think if you're looking for an overall net isolationist, I think you're way more likely to get that from Trump than DeSantis, right? I think foreign policy is the much bigger question mark in terms of DeSantis. And I do notice, as someone in the chat points out, that he seems to change his answers on foreign policy depending who he's interviewing, right? So when he's with Tucker, he says totally based answer, and then Piers Morgan, he kind of walks it back a little bit. So I don't know what you're going to get from DeSantis on foreign policy, and frankly, I think you're just going to get whatever the DC think tanks think is appropriate at the moment, which probably will mean, decently tough on China, but also a little bit hawkish, whatever. Whereas I think Trump, we kind of know how for decades he stood on foreign policy. He's always been more of a isolationist and stuff, and that's never changed, right? That's the one thing he hasn't changed. You go back to him in the 80s and 90s, he's saying stay out of the wars, fix the trade deals, and I think, honestly, that's one of Trump's biggest strengths over DeSantis, in my opinion, is the fact that he's not super wishy-washy on foreign policy. Nope, he lagged out. We can't hear you now. Zach, we can't. I see you talking, but we can't hear you.
And make him.
Oh, here we go. Okay, I can hear you. No, I can't hear you. Oop.
Sorry. So basically, I was saying that I hope that if I were to talk to DeSantis, or someone could, they can make him promise and swear.
Just turn off your camera. You'll get better reception if you turn off your camera.
Actually,
I don't know. He just keeps lagging out. Let's see here.
If that's statement on foreign policy.
We don't know what you just said. Could you turn off your camera? It'll probably make the reception better. Poor dollar just wants. Okay, fine, dollar for dollar. I'll click the link. All right, what is this? It won't even load. Dollar for dollar, it won't even load. Okay, no, here we go. All right, let's see. Do you plan on having kids in the future? If no, why? Pregnancy is horrifying. It's a natural human process. Feels like egoist. Leaving them in the world, how it is right now. That's stupid. All these, I'm going to screenshot these. Well, we're going to react to these at some point. I'm not going to share the screen right now. Zachary disappeared. Rip. The audio. His reception wasn't good. All right, well, that's the last call for the night. I'm going to end that Zoom call. But let's see. Any last... We'll go for like 5 more minutes. Any last super chats, comments, questions? Feel free to send them in now or join us tomorrow, obviously. But I'll peruse as usual since we usually end the show solo. I'll go... Harvey Weinstein. Okay, Harvey Weinstein wants to call in and says, I'll roast you on this. Okay, I just ended the Zoom call, but fine. Fine. Why not? I'll make a new Zoom call just for you. Okay? I'll make a new Zoom call just for you. Because it might be content. What can I say? Never miss out a chance to get content. Okay. Okay, Harvey Weinstein. Top DeSantis supporter, apparently. Okay. All right. That's the new link. Okay? Thanks for calling in, Zachary. Sorry the internet sucked. All right, that's a new link. So, there you go. He says, let me call in. Okay, so there you go. All right, you can use that new link. Okay? All right, so if he doesn't use this link, he's cringe for that. And he did not put his money where his mouth is. But here we go. All right? There it is. So join it. Let's go. John A says, was that an endorsement? Yeah, apparently that's his top supporter. I didn't know that. Don't get mad at me. That's apparently what's happening. All right, anyways. Kidding aside. Dollar for $2 says, here's a dollar for dower. LeBron got swept. Thank you for the $2. You know, I have to say, you guys are getting really mad at me. I'm happy LeBron lost because he sucks. But also, like, I'm from LA, you know, Lakers fan, whatever. So it's kind of a net neutral to me, okay? I think there's good on both sides. All right, is this guy going to join the Zoom call or not? Come on. I put it in chat. Creating account. You got to create a Zoom account? Why does he not have a Zoom account? Suspicious. Everyone has one. Come on now, get with the times. You're a DeSantis supporter. You're going to defend him doing a Twitter space announcement, and you don't even have a Zoom account. Come on, man. Get it together. Get your head in the game. All right. While we await. Do you guys want to see something cool? I'm trying to tell you. I've been trying to tell you guys. I'm not grifting about the podcast fund. It is real. All right, watch this. You're like, Vince, can you please stop talking? You talk too much. Why do you talk so much? I can't stand your voice. You suck. You're the worst YouTuber ever. Yeah? Well, now there's 2 of me. Watch this. You're like, oh, I don't like Vince over here. Yeah? Well, there's Vince over here, too. Whoa, chat. Whoa. There's 2 of me. You were not ready for this. They were not ready for this, okay? So, yeah, we now have 2 microphones. Actually, we got 3. There's a one in the other room. So, I need 4 of these mics, okay? Now, I will say this on this front. You may recognize these from YouTube podcasts, and you may recognize these. This one right here, my main one, okay? I will fully concede. These are the cheaper versions of this. Okay, they're cheaper. And honestly, they don't look as nice. The aesthetic of this one is so good. This one, right? So, the reason I bring that up is that if the I'm starting on a lower budget because I don't want to sink like $5,000 into this without any guarantee of success. But I will say, if the podcast does very well and it starts taking off and it makes a lot of money and stuff, I do plan to at some point upgrade from these ones for the podcast to these ones. So this is all to say, Just keep this in mind now. No time soon, but keep this in mind. If anyone out there wants podcast microphones, you're a YouTuber, you want to start, I mean, I'm not going to say now because we got to get it started with these, but at some point this year, maybe like fall, right? If you're looking for podcast microphones, I may be able to sell you this for half off. Just letting you know. Okay? But look at this. Multiple mics of Dow. They're not... Listen to that, Chad. Listen to the sound quality of that. They're literally not ready for this. Wow. Do you guys hear this sound quality? Dollar for dollar, says Vince. Why did you do 714? Do you hear this sound? Could someone with this good of sound quality ever do 714? No, you cannot. And what happens when I add a third microphone? Okay, there's two Vince Daos. There's literally two Vince Daos. Oh, wow. They're not ready. How to destroy the leftists. This is how. Because they're like, we're going to silence Vince Dow. Oh, shut off his microphone. He's speaking too much facts. He's too freaking based and red-pilled. Shut off the mic. Oh, no, we can't hear him. Oh, but I got a second mic. Oh, what you gonna do now? Libs so owned. It's literally over for them. It is literally over for them. Okay? Lizel says, don't buy an expensive mic. Just get two mics. Well, the thing is, these mics, I have a theory. I have a theory that the aesthetic of them literally adds value to a podcast. So, okay, here he is. Finally. We got the guy who wanted to debate me about DeSantis. I don't think he's ready for my power levels, though. Because the rest of the case, rest of the show, all he heard about was one microphone Vince, blah, 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 this and that. He's not ready for the power level of me with two microphones. Like, he's literally not ready for this. All right. He says he's entered the waiting room. Okay. Levi, listen. I know you think you know how this is going to go. I know you think you got this in the bag, but I think you should be aware I now have two microphones, okay? My power levels have doubled since we have last met. He can't even hear me. Okay, here he is. I need to join the audio. Hold on. Okay. All right.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
You're in trouble. You know why?
No.
My power levels have doubled. I have two microphones. You're not ready for this. They're not ready. How many microphones do you have? What color is your microphone? All right, anyways, what's up, man?
I'm not an established YouTuber like you are, Vince, okay?
You don't have the power of the double mic. I should get a third one. Imagine that. Imagine three microphones here. Like, why does he need that? Because he's Vinced out.
I have a compression mic. What is it?
Compressor, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I have one. I just, like I said, I'm not established as a YouTuber yet. I'd like to, but
yeah, for sure. Hey, listen, when I upgrade the studio, I'll sell you these half off. All right, anyways, Trump DeSantis, you want to get into it?
Yeah, I would like to mention a couple of things because, like I said, I'm a fan of yours, and I agree with you most of the time. And I'll start off with this. I wish they wouldn't run against each other. I really wish that DeSantis would take a back seat for a couple of years and let Trump have this one, honestly. But the reason I would support DeSantis over Trump is because actions speak louder than words. And I think, not to parrot Matt Walsh, but the lockdown scenarios were when the shit hit the fan, really. Pardon my language, but and I think DeSantis has shown us much more promise in terms of when it comes down to it, he's going to do what needs to be done. And I think Trump failed us in a major way when we needed him the most. I think he kind of did what a lot of Democrat presidents would have done at the time. He kind of disappeared, put Fauci up on a pedestal, and like I said, we needed him most at that time, and that's when he failed us. So go ahead.
I think that the history of this is a little bit astroturf. Like, I do agree, yes, Ron DeSantis overall handled COVID very well. Trump had some mistakes and slip-ups and stuff. But it is important to note, there was a period where Ron DeSantis did lock down his state. And it's not to say that, you know, he was the worst on he's probably overall, when you consider everything, right, probably the best governor on the issue of COVID. But, you know, there was a period where he did lock down Florida, as, you know, the rest of everyone was. And I think
who had a choice, Vince? Who had a choice during that time? Like, everybody was wearing masks.
Well,
you know?
okay, yeah,
even the people that didn't want to.
So,
it's like,
yeah, no, I get that,
that's
but then
the
I
power
would
of the
say the same.
government.
I would say the same thing about Trump, though, because yes, Fauci, come 2021, it was very easy to dislike the guy because all his failed this and he was just going crazy, all that. But it's important to note, like, at the time that we look back now and say Trump should have fired Fauci, the guy had something around an 80% approval rating, right? The Fauci we see and know now, and yes, many of us were saying this from the start, I was never a fan of the guy, but you have to understand too, you know, it got to the point where it's very easy in hindsight to say, yeah, Fauci should have never been there to begin with. But the truth of the matter is that if Trump had fired Fauci at the time, not to defend, I still think he should have done the right thing, but he would have been in serious political trouble again at the time that we say he should have done it. And I think if Ron DeSantis, for the same reason, oh, I guess I got to lock down a little bit, then I don't necessarily know if DeSantis in that position would also fire Fauci. It's easier for him to campaign in retrospect and say he would have, but I think when we kind of remember back to what it was like then, not how we see it now, that was a pretty tall ask. And not saying he should have done it, but I don't think Ron DeSantis would have done it either, especially considering, not to criticize DeSantis's COVID policy overall, because I think it was very good, but, you know, considering he also tried to play politics and save face a little bit, I don't know if he would have fired Fauci in like summer or spring 2020 either.
I understand what you're saying, but it's more just like where the rubber meets the road type of thing. We have a track record with Trump. We don't necessarily have that presidential track record, but we do have a track record with DeSantis, with his governing abilities, and I think what he has shown is much more promising. Like I said, when it comes down to it, do you want to be the frog in the pot and just keep letting it get a little bit worse, or do you want to put your foot down? I think DeSantis is more likely to be the actual person to put his foot down if the whole system starts crashing down on all of us like it so badly did during those ridiculous times, you know. And it will happen again. It will happen again with the government. It will crack down on all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I do see what you're saying. I know this is something, you know, the DeSantis people bring up a lot is the COVID stuff. But I think, like, all things considered, I'm not saying Trump has a significant edge, and there are ways in which DeSantis is better on the kind of that issue of COVID and how he handled it. But, you know, I like I said, I think we also sort of misremember how it was back then. I mean, we seem to forget now, because of everything in 2021, that Donald Trump was being heavily criticized at the time for not wearing masks, saying he doesn't think it's necessary to wear a mask, he's not going to force them. And this was when, you know, Ron DeSantis was allowing, when he was allowing mask mandates all over his states as well, right? So
Trump brought us warp speed, Vince.
Which okay, YouTube, I'm not YouTube. But what I will say about that is, I mean, you don't think Ron DeSantis as president would have worked on a vaccine either? Of course he would.
No, honestly, I don't. Like, that's what I'm saying. I think he's the guy that's actually going to stick with us and be like, all right, let's stick together right now and put our foot down and say, no, we're not going to continue with this ridiculousness.
I think that's a stretch. I think that Ron DeSantis probably would have developed the vaccine too, right? It's like,
that's just, I mean, well, let's talk about something
because
else.
Also, then. I mean, you also have to consider Ron DeSantis.
Who's more likely to double down against the LGBTQ Transformer Decepticon agenda?
Hold on. Okay, no, I'll talk about that in a second. But
sure.
You know, DeSantis was also touting that, hey, look, we're making vaccination so easy in the state of Florida, and he said stuff like they're saving lives and stuff, which YouTube, of course they were, but, you know, Yes, it is true. I think DeSantis navigated politically that issue much smarter than Trump. He understood much easier. He understood much better. Look, the base does not like this. I'm going to create a wedge with Trump. Absolutely, right? Trump did not handle it politically well. But I think as a matter of like who would have done what, I think DeSantis would have done basically the same thing. And I think if you really break down their actual beliefs or approaches to it, they're pretty identical. They're pretty similar, right? And so, yeah, I'm not happy at all that Trump, approached the issue that way. But
I understand. Yeah. Going back to what I started with, though, like I said, I wish they wouldn't even run against each other, because I'm not this never Trump kind of person by any means. But, and like I said, I agree with you on most things, when I'm watching your show as a fan. I'll say this just to kind of close out. I have personally never voted in my life. I am not somebody who's ever showed up on election day or whatever and showed up the ballots. But if there's one person that's going to get me to show up, it'd probably be DeSantis. And Trump didn't do that for me. He's not going to do it for me the second time around based on his track record. I'm much more likely to actually give it a shot because we know what happened the last election. It's like, this is my whole reason for not voting to begin with, is I don't think
YouTube. But the free and fair election. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I've never actually voted.
You didn't want to vote because it was too transparent and honest, right? Yeah.
I don't have a lot. Yeah, exactly. I have a lot of faith in the. Yeah. So but if somebody was gonna actually get me to show up, it would probably be DeSantis. And like I said, man, I agree with you on a lot of things, but ultimately, I wish they weren't running against each other.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's fair, man. I think this will be a good clip too. I think this is a good clip. But yeah, thanks for calling in, man. Have a good night.
I'll show up in better. I didn't even have a Zoom or whatever. I didn't install the.
No, it's no problem. You made it in. It's audio too, so it's no problem.
I just showed up. I was like, all right, hold up, let me talk. But God bless you, my friend. I really appreciate what you do.
God bless you.
All right, take care, bud.
All right, you too, man. See ya. All right. I think this was a good show, chat. I now have the call-in tech working correctly, okay? There's no more putting up my phone. And you know what? I really should have debated him with the two microphones, okay? I was going nice on you, man. Because I could have busted out the second mic. But all right, let me read the last few super chats here, and then we'll call it a night. Okay, $1 for $2 says, when is the next members block so I can BTFO Brady? When I'm feeling a little bit better, okay? I've been very tired. I can't do one tonight, but hopefully tomorrow night, maybe Thursday. Either tomorrow or Thursday, hopefully. No promises. All right, thank you for the $2. And Sheeny Beanie says, just breathe over the mic and save money. Breathe over one mic and save money. So true. Should have had the second mic. No, but you wouldn't have been able to handle if I had the second mic. Because you would have just been like, wow, he's spitting facts, but he's spitting double facts. So you wouldn't have been able to handle it. All right, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you to everyone who tuned in tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night on the next episode of The Vince Dow Show. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, everyone take care. Alpha moves only. Be sure to leave a like on the stream before you go. God bless and peace. Peace. I told you to peace twice on 2 mics, so you better have a peaceful night. See you guys.